All right, so have you ever wondered if world peace, actually is good for business?
Oh, absolutely.
Not just ethically,
Right.
profitable.
Yeah,
That's what we're going to be diving into today.
I like it.
We're going to be looking at research that makes the case for peace as a business strategy.
Okay.
So we're really going to be examining the link between peace and economic growth.
Interesting.
And get this.
Okay.
So did you know that Costa Rica's decision to completely demilitarize actually led to a tourism boom
Yeah, I did actually.
and a tech sector boom?
Yeah, that's a great example.
We're going to be looking at that and a lot more.
I'm excited.
So this research, it goes deep.
Okay.
It's not just peace is nice.
Mm-hmm.
It looks at how a reduced conflict can actually create new markets for businesses,
Oh, wow.
make businesses more productive,
Okay.
and even spark innovation.
That's fascinating.
It gets into it.
Yeah.
To really get into it,
Yeah.
what do we even mean by peace as a business strategy?
Well, it's a great question. I think it's not just about avoiding conflict.
Mm-hmm.
It's about actively promoting stability
Okay.
and well-being, social well-being as well.
Okay.
And so I think about it as companies making peace a core part of how they reach their business goals.
So it's not like a side project or like a
Like-
CSR thing.
Exactly, yeah.
This is actually woven into
Yeah.
the fabric of the business.
Part of their DNA.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so to illustrate this, they look at some examples.
Okay.
One of them is Costa Rica.
Oh, yeah.
They demilitarized in the 1940s
Wow.
entirely.
Entirely.
We took all the money that they would have been spending on the military
Yeah.
and put it into education,
Mm-hmm.
healthcare, and infrastructure.
That's amazing.
So they literally traded tanks for textbooks.
Wow. What happened?
What happened was their economy boomed,
Oh, well,
tourism, obviously,
yeah, right.
but then a thriving tech sector emerged.
That's incredible.
And so now, instead of being known for conflict,
Yep.
they're known for ecotourism
Mm.
and innovation.
That's a really great example.
That's pretty wild, right?
Yeah. It really
And so they actually boosted their economy
yeah.
by choosing peace.
Yeah, and that's what's really fascinating about this research is it's highlighting how peace can create the conditions for this different kind of economic growth.
Totally. And it's not just them.
Yeah.
They also looked at post-war Japan
Okay.
and Germany.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them
Yeah.
had remarkable economic recovery and growth in peaceful environments.
It makes sense.
So we're starting to see a pattern here.
Yeah.
But how did they measure this?
Right.
Did they just ask people, hey, is peace good for business?
Well, they took a little bit more of a rigorous approach.
Okay.
They used a mix of what we call quantitative and qualitative data.
Okay, break that down for me.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
So quantitative data is about the hard numbers.
Okay.
So things like GDP growth,
Okay.
trade volume,
I getcha.
hard numbers.
Yeah.
And they compared these metrics in peaceful nations to those that are struggling with conflict.
Okay.
And they found a really stark difference.
Like what?
Well, for example, companies in peaceful regions had a 30% lower risk of supply chain disruptions.
Oh, wow, that's huge.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so the numbers are there.
Yeah.
But what about the
Yeah.
human element?
Right.
Did they actually talk to businesses?
They did, and that's where the qualitative data comes in.
Okay.
So they did these really in-depth interviews with business leaders who were operating in these peaceful regions, and they really wanted to get a sense of, how this environment actually affects their businesses and their lives as well.
So what they learned?
What they found is that one of the most consistent themes was this idea of stability and predictability.
Okay.
So businesses in peaceful environments were talking about being able to make long-term plans. They could invest with confidence.
Yeah.
They could focus on growth instead of worrying about, security risks.
Makes sense. It's hard to build a business when you're in survival mode all the time.
Exactly. Yeah. And this stability actually allows them to invest more in their workforce.
Yeah.
So when employees feel safe and valued, they're more productive, they're more engaged, and this in turn drives innovation.
Oh, wow.
And it helps these businesses thrive.
So it's like this cycle
It is.
where peace creates an environment
Yeah.
where businesses can flourish.
Right.
And then that leads to even more opportunities for everybody.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
it is. And this is where things get really interesting because the research suggests that peace can actually give birth to entirely new markets.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Hmm.
We're talking about things like conflict resolution services, peace-building technology, even specialized forms of ecotourism that only thrive in these peaceful environments.
I never thought of that peace could create new markets.
Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, so it's not just that existing industries do better.
Right.
It's that entirely new opportunities emerge. Exactly. And that's where the role of businesses becomes even more intriguing.
Oh, right.
Could companies actively contribute to peace-building efforts as a core part of their long-term strategy?
Okay, I'm starting to see how peace could be like a really smart business move.
Yeah.
It reduces risk, fosters innovation, new markets open up.
Right.
But is that all there is to it?
Well,
What about like the morality of it all?
yeah, and I think it's certainly not just about the bottom line, but what this research suggests is that maybe the moral and the profitable aren't so separate after all.
Okay.
A stable society with less conflict also tends to be one where people are healthier.
Right.
They're better educated, and they have more economic opportunities.
So you're saying that by promoting peace, businesses could actually be contributing to a better world, like on multiple levels.
Exactly, and the benefits go beyond just that feel-good factor.
Okay.
The research found that in peaceful societies, there tends to be higher levels of trust
Okay.
between businesses, governments, and communities. And this trust makes it easier to collaborate,
Right.
to form partnerships, and to really work towards those shared goals.
So peace, it's not just making the businesses that already exist run better.
Yeah.
It's like it creates this whole ecosystem
Yeah,
where businesses can thrive in ways we never even imagined.
it really does.
Okay, this is making me rethink the connection between peace and profit, for sure.
Yeah, and we've just scratched the surface because the research also explores what happens in regions that are affected by conflict.
Okay, let's get into that.
Yeah.
What happens when conflict takes over?
Well, when they compared conflict zones to those peaceful regions, it really painted a very clear picture of the economic disadvantages of conflict.
Really?
Yeah, they found lower GDP growth, there was less investment coming in from the outside, and there were fewer resources available for development.
So it's not just that peace is good.
Right.
It's that conflict is actively harmful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they measured that damage. And it really underscores the urgency of finding ways to not just prevent conflict, but to actually build and sustain peace. It's not just a humanitarian issue.
Yeah.
It's an economic imperative.
This is really making me rethink, like, what business as usual even means.
Yeah.
You know, if peace is so powerful
Right.
for growth, shouldn't it be at the forefront of, like, every business leader's mind?
That's a really important question, and it speaks to a larger shift that we're starting to see.
Okay.
Businesses are starting to see themselves as part of the solution,
Yeah.
not just beneficiaries of a peaceful world.
Okay, I'm fully on board.
Yeah.
Peace is good for business, but how do we actually make it happen? How do we turn this research into action? What can companies actually do to be a part of this peace-powered economy?
That's the million-dollar question, and thankfully the research offers some concrete answers.
Okay, let's hear it.
They identify several key areas where businesses can have a real impact.
All right, let's dive in.
Let's do it.
All right, so we've seen all this evidence that peace can boost economies. But how does all this translate to, like, actual business models?
That's where I think the real entrepreneurial opportunities come in.
Okay.
So think about things like conflict resolution services, peace-building technology, even ecotourism. You know, a peaceful environment fosters new markets and innovative ventures.
So you're saying it's not just about, like, avoiding conflict.
Right.
It's about actively creating the conditions for peace
Exactly.
that then unlock all this economic potential.
Yeah.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
It is. And what's exciting is that this research suggests that businesses have a much bigger role to play in this than we might have realized.
Okay, so where do we start?
Well, I think it begins with recognizing that businesses actually have a much wider sphere of influence
Okay.
than they might think. It's not just about what happens, you know, within their own four walls.
So you're saying it's about more than just treating your employees well.
Exactly. It's about how your actions impact the wider community and even the world.
Okay, I like that.
And this is where this idea of peace as a business strategy really comes into play. And so the research actually points to some concrete actions that businesses can take.
Okay. Such as?
Well, one of the most impactful is ensuring ethical sourcing practices.
Okay.
You know, really knowing where your raw materials are coming from
Yeah.
and making sure that they're not contributing to conflict or human rights abuses.
So you're saying taking responsibility for the whole supply chain,
Exactly.
not just like turning a blind eye to whatever's happening upstream.
Yeah, and it goes beyond that. It's about actively promoting peace.
Okay, how so?
Well, companies can invest in community development projects.
Okay.
in conflict-affected regions. They can support local businesses, they can create jobs, they can foster stability.
That's amazing. So they're actually like building peace
Yeah.
from the ground up.
Yeah, they're putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, literally.
Exactly. And they can also partner with organizations that are already specializing in conflict resolution and peace building.
So they're like lending their resources
Exactly.
and expertise to these efforts that are already underway.
Yeah, it's about leveraging those existing networks and expertise.
So a company's commitment to peace, it can extend way beyond its own little bubble
Absolutely.
and have like a ripple effect on the whole world.
I love that image of the ripple effect. I think it's so powerful.
It's true, right?
Yeah.
It's like you throw a pebble in a pond and the waves go out.
Exactly.
And you never know where they're going to end up.
And we haven't even talked about advocacy.
Oh, right.
Businesses can use their platform to speak out against violence.
Okay.
They can promote dialogue. They can push for policies that support peace and stability.
So they're using their voice
Yeah,
to champion peace on like a bigger scale.
exactly. And the research highlighted some really inspiring examples of companies that are already doing this.
Okay, like who?
Well, you might be surprised to hear this, but Ben and Jerry's.
Wait, the ice cream people.
The ice cream people.
I love Cherry Garcia.
Yes.
But I had no idea they were peace activists.
They've actually been a vocal advocate for social justice and peace for decades.
No way.
Yeah, they use their platform to raise awareness about conflict resolution, racial equality, other social issues.
Okay.
They source fair trade ingredients, they support peace-building organizations, they even create special ice cream flavors.
Stop it, really.
I know, it's amazing, right?
To promote peace.
To promote peace-related causes.
So they're not just selling ice cream, they're like making a statement with their business.
Exactly. And it's been incredibly successful for them.
How so?
They've built a really loyal customer base
Okay.
who share their commitment to social good.
Yeah.
And they've become kind of a role model for
Yeah.
other businesses that are looking to do the same.
That's amazing. So you could be profitable
Yeah.
and make a difference.
You can do well by doing good.
I love that. Any other examples?
Sure. Another great example is Patagonia,
Oh, yeah.
the outdoor apparel company.
I love their fleeces.
The fleeces, yeah, they're well known for their environmental activism,
Right.
but they're also deeply committed to promoting peace.
Really?
Yeah, they've supported organizations working on conflict resolution in war-torn regions, and they've used their platform to advocate for policies that promote peace and stability.
So they're not just making clothes.
Right.
They're actually trying to like create a better world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they're proving that you can be a successful business while also being a force for good.
Mm-hmm.
They're really showing that profit and purpose can go hand in hand.
These examples are really inspiring.
They are.
It's so cool to see how these companies are stepping up
Yeah.
and using their resources to make a difference.
And recognizing their power.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they're realizing that peace is not just like a nice thing.
Right.
It's essential for a thriving business.
It's a must-have.
Yeah, and a better future.
Absolutely. And it's not just large corporations
Okay.
that can make a difference.
Sure.
Small businesses have a role to play too.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Think about a company like Peace Coffee.
Peace Coffee.
Yeah, based in Minneapolis.
Okay.
They directly source their beans from farmers
Okay.
in conflict-affected regions.
Mm-hmm.
They pay them fair wages,
Okay.
and they invest in community development projects.
So they're creating economic opportunities in areas that really need it.
Exactly. And by supporting these farmers, they're contributing to that stability
Yeah.
and reducing the risk of conflict.
It's amazing.
And it's a model that's gaining tractions. You know,
Okay.
more and more businesses are realizing that they can use their purchasing power to make a positive impact.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point
Yeah.
for everybody listening,
Yeah.
not just business leaders.
Right.
Like, we all have choices to make as consumers.
We do.
You mean like where we shop?
Yeah, exactly where you shop. What brands you support.
Yeah.
Every time you spend money, you're casting a vote for the kind of world you want to live in.
Oh, I like that.
And by choosing to support businesses that are committed to peace, you're amplifying their impact and contributing to a more peaceful and just global economy.
So it's not just up to CEOs and politicians
Right.
to create peace.
It's on all of us.
Yeah, it's something we
Yeah.
all can participate in.
Absolutely. Every purchase is a chance to make a difference.
Yeah.
And the more we demand, products and services from companies that align with our values, the more businesses will be incentivized to actually prioritize peace.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all ties together.
Yeah.
But I am curious,
Yeah.
does the research mention any specific industries that are particularly well suited for promoting peace?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And yes, they did.
Okay.
One industry that stands out is tourism.
Tourism.
Think about it. When a region is peaceful and stable, tourism can flourish.
Yeah.
It creates jobs, it boosts the local economy, and it fosters cross-cultural understanding.
So it's like adventure with a purpose.
I love that adventure with a purpose.
Yep.
But tourism is also incredibly vulnerable to conflict.
Yeah, like if there's even a hint of trouble, people are going to stay away.
Exactly, which is why promoting peace is so vital for the tourism industry.
Okay.
Investing in conflict resolution, supporting sustainable tourism practices, educating travelers about responsible travel.
Yeah.
These are all key.
Makes sense. What are some other industries where promoting peace could be a game changer?
Well, technology is a huge one.
Technology, okay.
Yeah, it has the potential to really connect people across borders, bridge divides, facilitate communication, all of which are essential for building and sustaining peace.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond just social media.
Okay. Social media can be great for connection.
Yes.
But it can also be a tool for spreading misinformation.
Absolutely.
And hate. And even inciting violence.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword.
Totally. So
Yeah.
we need to find ways to harness the power of tech for good.
Exactly. Think about the potential for developing early warning systems for conflict prevention.
Okay.
Or creating secure platforms for dialogue and peace education. We need those innovative thinkers
Yeah.
who can really leverage technology to address the root causes of conflict and create a more peaceful and interconnected world.
So it's like a whole new frontier
It is.
for
Yeah.
innovation.
Yeah.
It's not just about building apps that like
Right.
make us more productive or whatever.
Exactly.
It's about building apps that make the world a better place.
I love that. And it's not just about high-tech solutions either.
Sorry.
There are also massive opportunities in sectors like sustainable development, renewable energy education. All of these areas contribute to a more just and equitable world,
Right.
which in turn helps reduce conflict and build peace.
I'm getting the sense that we're talking about like a very different kind of economy.
Yeah.
One that's not just about like making as much money as possible,
Right.
but about creating a better world.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that our economic systems are actually interconnected with our social and environmental systems.
I love this. So it's like a holistic view
Exactly.
of the economy. Okay, this is all starting to come together.
Good.
But I do have to ask, are there any downsides
That's a great question.
or challenges that businesses might face
Yeah.
when they're trying to incorporate peace building
Yeah.
into their strategies?
It's important to acknowledge the challenges.
Okay.
One potential pitfall is the risk of being accused of greenwashing or peace washing.
Peace on it.
Peace washing. It's a thing.
Okay, what is that?
Well, it's when a company uses peace-related rhetoric to boost their image
Okay.
without actually making any genuine efforts to promote peace.
So it's like putting a peace sign on your packaging,
Exactly.
but not actually changing your business practices.
Yeah, it's hypocrisy, basically.
Right, so talking the talk without walking the walk.
Exactly, and consumers are becoming increasingly aware of this,
Okay.
and they can see right through those empty gestures.
Yeah.
So authenticity is crucial.
Okay.
Businesses need to be transparent about their efforts.
Yeah.
They need to back up their words with concrete actions and be prepared for scrutiny.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay, so no peace-themed NFTs then.
Maybe not.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
But seriously, it sounds like transparency and accountability.
Yes.
Those are key
They are essential.
for building trust with your
Yes.
customers and the public.
Absolutely. And another challenge is navigating those complex political environments.
Right.
Peace building can be a really sensitive issue,
Yeah.
and businesses need to be careful not to alienate customers or governments
Right.
by taking sides in political disputes.
So it's about being a force for peace
Yeah,
without getting caught in the middle.
exactly. It requires a deep understanding of the local context
Yeah.
and a commitment to engaging with all stakeholders in
All
a
right.
respectful and inclusive way.
That sounds tricky.
It can be.
Are there any resources
There are.
or organizations out there
Yes.
that can help businesses
Yes.
navigate these challenges?
Yeah. Thankfully, there's a growing ecosystem of organizations that specialize in supporting businesses in their peace-building efforts.
Okay.
For example, the United Nations Global Compact has a platform called Business for Peace
Okay.
that provides guidance, resources, tools for companies that want to integrate peace into their strategies.
So there's help out there
There is.
for businesses that want to do this,
Yes.
but don't know where to start.
Exactly. And there are also regional and industry-specific organizations
Okay.
that can provide more tailored support.
So it's a whole movement.
It is. It's a collective effort.
Yeah.
And the more businesses get involved,
Yeah.
the stronger this peace-building ecosystem will become.
This has been really eye-opening for me.
Good.
It's shifting my perspective on how business can be a force for good.
Yeah. And it's about time.
Totally.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up,
Yeah.
I want to go back to something you said earlier about peace being a choice.
Yes.
Can you expand on that a little bit?
Sure.
What does that mean?
Well, we often think of peace as simply the absence of war or conflict,
Right.
but it's so much more than that.
Okay.
True peace is about creating a world where everyone feels safe, respected, and valued.
Mhm.
It's about promoting justice, equality, opportunity for all.
Okay.
And on a personal level, it's about choosing to resolve conflicts peacefully.
So it's not just about what's happening on the global stage.
Right.
It's about how we interact
Exactly.
with each other
Yeah, in our homes, in our workplaces, in our communities.
on a daily basis.
Exactly. Peace is a mindset.
Okay.
It's a way of being in the world. It's about choosing empathy over anger, understanding over judgment, collaboration over competition.
Wow. Those are powerful words.
And it's a choice that we make every single day.
I imagine some people might be feeling a little overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You know, like peace is great, but what can one person actually do to make a difference?
Yeah, that's a very natural response, and it's important to remember that even small actions can have a ripple effect. You don't have to solve all the world's problems overnight.
Right.
Start by choosing peace in your own life, in your interactions with others, and in the way you conduct your business.
So you're saying like small steps,
Yeah.
conscious choices, they
Yeah.
can add up to something bigger.
Exactly. And remember, you're not alone in this. There are millions of people around the world who are working towards a more peaceful future.
Yeah.
And by joining forces, amplifying each other's efforts, and supporting those businesses that are committed to peace,
Yeah.
we can create a movement that's powerful enough to change the world.
This has been a really incredible conversation.
Good.
I'm curious to hear a little bit more about how this research was actually conducted.
Yeah.
How did they measure the impact of peace on business? What kind of data did they use?
That's a great question. And the research took a really comprehensive approach using both quantitative and qualitative data to really get a complete picture.
Okay. Can you break those down for me?
Yeah.
I'm not a research expert.
Okay. Of course. So quantitative data is all about the numbers.
Okay.
So things like GDP growth, trade volume, foreign direct investment, even things like tourism revenue.
Okay.
And they compare these figures in countries that are promoting peace with those in conflict zones to see if there are any significant differences.
So they're looking for hard evidence that peace is good for business.
Exactly. And they found a strong correlation, for example.
Okay.
Countries with stable peace saw an average of 2% higher GDP growth per year.
Wow.
Compared to countries experiencing ongoing conflict.
2%, that might not sound like a lot.
Right.
But over time, it really adds up.
It doesn't compound.
Yeah. Okay. But numbers can only tell us so much.
Right.
What about the qualitative side of things?
That's where they went beyond the spreadsheets and actually spoke to people.
Okay.
So they conducted these in-depth interviews with business leaders, policymakers, community members in peaceful regions to really get their perspectives on how peace is impacting their lives and businesses. They also looked at specific companies that are successfully weaving peace building into their operations.
So it's about understanding the lived experience of peace.
Exactly.
And how it plays out in the real world.
Yeah, and what they found was that one of the most consistent things that they heard was this sense of stability and predictability that peace brings. So businesses were talking about being able to plan for the long term, invest with confidence, and focus on growth.
Makes sense. It's hard to build anything when you're in that survival mode.
Exactly.
All the time.
Yeah.
Did they learn anything else?
Another key theme that emerged was the importance of trust.
Trust. Okay.
So in peaceful environments, there's a higher level of trust between businesses, governments, communities.
Yeah.
And this trust makes it easier to collaborate to build partnerships and create shared value.
So it's about the values and relationships.
It's like peace creates the social fabric that allows businesses to thrive.
I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not just about those economic indicators.
Yeah.
It's about the very fabric of society.
Exactly. And that trust also extends to the workforce.
Okay.
Businesses in peaceful environments, we're talking about having more engaged and productive employees because they feel valued, respected, and secure.
That makes sense. Happy employees are productive employees.
Exactly. It's like this positive feedback loop.
Yeah.
Peace creates the conditions for businesses to flourish.
Yeah.
And those successful businesses actually help to build an even more peaceful and prosperous society.
Wow. This is so fascinating.
I know it is.
I'm really starting to rethink how I view peace and its role in the world.
Yeah, and that's what's so exciting about this research.
Totally. Were there any findings that surprised the researchers or challenged their assumptions?
One of the things that they didn't really expect to find was the sheer amount of innovation that's happening in the peace-building sector.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They went in assuming it was mostly governments and NGOs doing this work.
Right.
But they found this whole ecosystem of entrepreneurs and businesses developing creative solutions to conflict, prevention, resolution, and reconciliation.
Wow. So it's not just diplomats and peacekeepers.
Yeah.
There's all these peace-focused businesses out there.
There are, and they're attracting investment.
Wow.
They're scaling their operations.
Okay.
And they're having a real impact on the ground.
So cool. Can you give me some examples of these innovations that they're coming up with?
Yeah.
What does peace-focused entrepreneurship look like?
Well, one area where we're seeing a lot of activity is technology.
Technology, okay.
For example, there are companies that are creating mobile apps that provide early warning systems for conflict.
Really?
So communities can take preventative measures before violence erupts.
Wow.
There are others who are using artificial intelligence to analyze social media and identify potential hotspots.
So they're using tech
Yeah.
to predict and prevent conflict
Exactly.
before it even happens.
That's the goal.
That's incredible.
It's really exciting, and it's not just about tech.
Okay.
They're also seeing innovation in areas like conflict resolution and peace education.
Okay.
So, for example, there are organizations that are developing virtual reality simulations that allow people to actually experience conflict from different perspectives.
That's cool.
Yeah, building empathy and understanding.
Yeah.
Others are creating online platforms that connect people from different cultures and backgrounds to engage in dialogue and peace-building activities.
So it's about bringing creativity and innovation
to all aspects of peace building.
Yeah.
From prevention to resolution to healing and reconciliation.
It's a whole new way of approaching these age-old problems.
It is, and this creativity is coming from all corners of the world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they found examples of peace-focused businesses in both developed and developing countries.
Okay.
They were especially impressed by the ingenuity and resilience of entrepreneurs in conflict-affected regions who are using business as a tool to rebuild their communities and create a more peaceful future.
I'm loving this.
It's amazing.
It sounds like the peace-building sector is like a hotbed.
It is.
Of innovation and positive change.
It is. And they believe that this trend is only going to accelerate in the coming years.
That's great.
As the world becomes more interconnected and these challenges become more complex, the demand for these innovative solutions will continue to rise, creating even more opportunities for entrepreneurs and businesses to make a difference.
Okay, I'm on board. Peace is good for business.
Great.
What are my marching orders?
I love it.
What are the key takeaways?
All right, let's get practical.
Yeah.
So if a CEO is listening to this and thinking, okay, I'm in, but where do I begin?
Yeah.
Here's what I would say.
Okay.
The first step is education.
Education. Okay.
Take the time to actually learn about the root causes of conflict in your industry and your region.
Okay.
There are tons of resources available online through organizations like the UN Global Compact. Understanding the landscape is essential for making informed decisions.
Knowledge is power.
Exactly what's next. Once you have that understanding, take a hard look at your own company's impact.
Okay.
Ask yourself, where are our operations located?
Okay.
What are our supply chains like?
Yeah.
Are there any potential risks of conflict or human rights abuses connected to what we're doing?
So you're saying like radical honesty about your business.
About your company's footprint on the world.
Yeah, I like that.
And once you've identified those potential risks or areas where you can improve, you can start to develop a strategy for integrating peace building into your operations.
All right.
This might involve things like sourcing your materials ethically, implementing fair labor practices, investing in community development projects, partnering with those peace-building organizations.
So many different approaches,
There.
depending on the business and the context.
Exactly. There's no one-size-fits-all solution. Yeah.
The key is to find what works for your company.
Okay.
and to be authentic in your commitment.
This is all really inspiring.
It is.
But I imagine some business leaders might be a little hesitant.
Yeah.
Like, look, peace is great,
Right.
but I got to maximize profits
Right.
for my shareholders. That's my job.
Yeah. And I would say that ignoring the issue of conflict is no longer an option
Oh, really?
in today's world.
Okay.
Conflict disrupts supply chains.
Yeah.
It drives up costs. It creates instability.
Yeah.
It undermines economic growth.
Yeah.
In the long run, turning a blind eye to conflict is bad for business.
So it's not just a moral obligation.
Right.
It's about protecting your bottom line.
Exactly. Those who recognize this and proactively incorporate peace building into what they're doing, they will be the ones that thrive.
Okay. I like that. So it's not hippy-dippy stuff.
No.
This is like,
This is smart business.
yeah, smart business.
Yeah.
This is making me rethink what it means to be a successful business.
But I am curious, what are some of the most common misconceptions you encounter about peace building
Yeah.
in the business world?
Yeah. And what are some of the things that hold companies back from
Yeah.
getting involved? One of the biggest misconceptions is that peace building is solely the responsibility of governments and NGOs.
Okay.
A lot of business leaders think they don't have the expertise or resources to get involved.
Yeah.
But the reality is every business has a role to play.
Okay.
And even small actions can have a ripple effect.
I'm seeing a theme here with the ripple effect.
It's powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's not about, becoming a diplomat or launching this massive aid program.
Right.
It's about finding ways to integrate peace-building principles into your existing business practices.
It's about like weaving it in to the fabric of what you're already doing.
Yeah.
Okay, what else?
Another misconception is that peace-building is expensive
Okay.
and time-consuming, and that it'll detract from their profits. But as we've discussed, the research actually shows the opposite.
Yeah.
Peace is good for business.
Yeah.
It creates stability, it reduces risks, it fosters innovation, and it enhances a company's reputation.
Which leads to more customers
Exactly.
and more sales.
So it's not about sacrificing profits for peace. It's about recognizing that peace is actually a key ingredient for long-term business success.
Okay, and what's the last one?
The last one is that peace building is a soft issue
Okay.
that's not relevant to hard-nosed business decisions.
Like it's just a nice to have.
Exactly. But as we've seen, peace is intimately connected to every aspect of business,
Yeah.
from supply chains and operations to human resources and marketing.
So you're saying it's not just like a CSR initiative.
Right.
It's like a core part of your business strategy.
It can actually impact your bottom line.
Yeah.
And the more business leaders that understand this,
Yeah.
the more we'll see companies stepping up and taking a leading role in creating this more peaceful and prosperous world.
I love that.
Yeah.
So it's like business leaders becoming peace leaders.
Exactly.
This has been a truly inspiring conversation.
I'm glad you're inspired.
But before we move on to our final thoughts,
Yeah.
I'm really intrigued by this idea
Yeah.
you mentioned about specific entrepreneurial opportunities
Yeah.
emerging in peaceful environments. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the most exciting things that came out of this research
Yeah.
was how peace actually creates this fertile ground for entrepreneurship and innovation.
Okay.
So when conflict subsides
Yeah.
and stability takes hold, it unleashes this wave of creative energy
Wow.
and entrepreneurial spirit.
So it's like peace is the seed that allows entrepreneurship to bloom.
I love that. That's a beautiful way to put it. And it's a pattern that we see again and again in post-conflict societies.
Yeah.
When people feel safe and secure,
Yeah.
they're more willing to take risks,
Yeah.
invest in new ventures, pursue their dreams.
It makes sense when you're in survival mode. It's hard to be creative.
It is. It is.
Okay, so peace creates stability,
Yeah,
which then leads to this surge of entrepreneurship.
exactly.
What happens next?
Well, this surge can have a ripple effect.
There's that ripple effect again.
Throughout a society, it creates jobs.
Yeah.
It boosts economic growth.
Huh.
It fosters innovation, and it gives individuals that power to actually shape their own destinies.
Wow, so it's about more than just starting businesses.
Yeah.
It's about building hope
It is.
and opportunity.
Yeah, and that's what makes this link between peace and entrepreneurship so powerful.
I love that.
Peace creates that fertile ground.
Wow. This has been a truly fascinating deep dive.
It has been.
I'm really starting to see how peace and prosperity are like two sides of the same coin.
They are, yeah. It's a beautiful dance between the two.
We've covered so much ground.
We have.
The macroeconomic impacts, the inspiring stories from businesses, the innovations.
Absolutely.
And we really challenge this idea that peace is just a luxury, like a nice to have,
Right.
and shown how it's actually essential
Yes.
for business success.
And a better world.
And a better world, exactly.
Yeah.
And we've seen how our choices as individuals
Yes.
can make a difference.
Absolutely.
But as we wrap up,
Yeah.
I want to leave our listeners with a question,
Okay, hit me.
something to think about.
Okay, I love a good thought-provoking question.
Okay, here it is.
Okay.
If peace is such a smart business strategy,
Yeah.
a catalyst for innovation and prosperity,
Mm-hmm.
what role can you play in fostering a more peaceful and prosperous world?
That's a good one.
I know, right?
Hmm.
It brings it back to the individual,
It does.
reminding us that we all have the power to make a difference.
Yeah, whether you're a CEO or a budding entrepreneur, an employee, a conscious consumer,
Yeah.
your choices and your actions matter,
So it's not about like waiting for someone else to fix it.
right?
It's about what we can do right now in our own lives, in our businesses.
Yeah.
Each act of kindness,
Mm-hmm.
each ethical choice we make in our business,
Yeah.
each effort to understand each other better.
Absolutely.
Those are the building blocks
They are the foundation.
of a better world.
Yes, I love that.
This has been truly inspiring.
It has.
I'm walking away with a renewed sense of hope
Me too.
about the future.
And a deeper understanding of how connected peace and prosperity really are.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure exploring these ideas with you.
Likewise.
And I hope our listeners are feeling inspired to take action. Remember, peace is not just a destination.
Yeah.
It's a journey we take together.
Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive into peace in business.
It's been my pleasure.
We'll see you next time.